Hello YouTube audience. Today is December the 19th, 2020 and it's almost Christmas, so I'm going to work on this Colorado Blue Spruce. It was the first Christmas tree I decorated. I got it last year, and early this year in April I repotted the tree in a bonsai pot, as you can see, and after 8 months of ignoring it, not working on it, the tree has grown significantly. So I think the tree is ready for some more pruning, some more work on it. So before I start pruning this Christmas tree and start to attempt to make it into a bonsai, I would like to show you a tree that I worked on last year, which is this Italian stone pine that is completely dead. And this, I remember it was a $7 tree and Christmas tree, and I was trying to turn it into bonsai instantaneously, and it didn't work well. So, which is sad, but I learned a lot from it. So one of the lessons I learned is that although it's very tempted to make an instantaneous bonsai out of a tree, you normally cannot work too much on the tree, or it would significantly weaken the tree, and the tree is more likely to die. A rule of thumb is you normally would not work on the top of the tree and the root of the tree at the same time. And so if you prune it heavily, do not repot it. If you have to repot it while pruning it, maybe slip pot it, meaning you simply put the tree in a bigger pot with some new soil without pruning the roots. If you prune the roots, maybe do not wire it. If you want to wire it, maybe wait for several months for the tree to get established. Several months or even several years for the tree to re-establish the roots before you wire it. So basically that's the lesson I learned. So with this second Christmas tree, the Colorado Blue Spruce, I going to work on. I repotted it early this spring in April, mid-April, and after 8 months, the tree has grown significantly. And now, if I push off working on it more, the other side of the question is, because the tree wants to grow into a large tree, so it is apically dominant. So the top of the tree will grow much more than the lower part of the tree, and will shadow or shade out all the lower branches, and the lower branches will start to die. It's actually already starting to die. So I would have to prune it, or I will lose all the lower branches that I want for making a compact bonsai, a compact tree. So a lot of Christmas trees are relatively good materials for bonsais. But if a lay person just look at a Christmas tree, they all look the same. But in the standard of a bonsai, there are probably 3 things that make a Christmas tree more attractive than other Christmas trees. First, if the tree has a thick trunk, that would make the tree more desirable for bonsai. And if it has some nice movement, that would also make the tree more attractive. And if they have some surface root, visible surface root, like a palm grabbing the ground, the Japanese term called them nibari, that would even make the tree more desirable. So you can see these trees, they don't have a good nibari, which is very rare in conifers. So, but in deciduous trees, sometimes even the nursery stock, you will see some good nibari, but these conifers don't have it. But this tree has a pretty gentle movement in the trunk, so that's make it desirable. And among all the $7 tree in the supermarket, this one is thickest, so that's why I choose this tree. Italian stone pine is such a nice tree. You cannot smell it, but even a year after it died, it still gives out this aroma of a pine tree. So if I have a chance, I may just get another of these Italian stone pine and try it again. This time maybe just slip pot it and let it grow and wait for a while and then style it. And for the tree on the back, which is the Colorado Blue Spruce, I got this mainly because it has a very impressive trunk. The trunk is very thick for a bonsai tree. I think it's thick enough. I don't really need a thicker trunk, much more than this one. So that's why I select this tree initially. And doesn't have too much movement, but it has several trunks that make it very special. Normally in bonsai, and especially for conifers, people are used to trees that has a single trunk, but this tree has 2 trunks at least, which make it relatively special. So today I'm going to do something bold. Hopefully it's not going to kill the tree, but anything could happen. But still, I would like to be bold and start getting rid of most of the top growth. Otherwise, the top growth will start to shade out the lower branches and start to make it die. So the lower part of the tree is what I'm trying to preserve. So the top part, I would have to cut them out. So I'm going to start cutting the top of the tree to a height that I want, and then start working on the bottom of the tree. I wear gloves because the needles are very tough. So all these tops are not useful. So Colorado Blue Spruce, this is a real Colorado Blue Spruce. It's not anything dwarf. So it's going to become giants in a while. And some people has the misunderstanding that bonsai are some kind of special trees. That's why they are so small, but they are not. Any trees and shrubs can be made into bonsai. The reason why they are so small is because people keep pruning it. If you don't prune it, and if you don't keep it in a small pot, if you just plant them in the wild, they will become a giant tree. So we will have to prune it all the time, and all this growth on the top has give the tree a lot of strength and make it possible for us to work on the tree and make the tree get thicker and more healthy. So the photosynthesis that happens in the leaves has fed the root so that we have a strong tree. But in terms of making a bonsai, all these top parts are not exactly useful. So we are not going to be too worried about getting rid of all these top growth because they are not really what we need for the end result of our tree. The top, however, we could consider making it into a jin, which is a piece of dead wood. As the tree in the wild grow very tall, a lot of times the roots fail to pump water to the top of the tree, so the tree start to die from the top, and so there are not a lot of times you will see a piece of dead wood on the top of a tree, which is relatively natural. And now I've got rid of a lot of the dead wood, and I can try to make a jin or a piece of dead wood from the top, which I will make a cut. I will make a cut into the wood and try to tear it, which was not successful because I made the cut too deep, and get rid of the top anyway. So then I can use a plier. I can use a normal plier or the jing plier I'm using right now to get rid of the bark on this tree, on this jing. Let me cut off more of the adventitious bud. The Colorado Blue Spruce really seems to bud back pretty nicely, so it seems that I don't have to worry too much about the ability of the tree to bud back. I don't want to work on the chin with my left hand, so I'm going to turn the tree a little bit so that I can use my right hand just to get rid of the bark. So I'm simply using a plier, a jing plier, to remove the bark on the tree. You may ask, how does this make the tree looking better as a bonsai? So it's going to create a sense of age in a small tree, and a big purpose of making a bonsai is you use a young tree, a small tree, relatively young tree, but a lot of bonsai are actually very old, hundreds of years old. But most of the bonsai that exist are relatively young, but we use the tree. If the tree is, this tree is maybe 10 years old, we try to make it looks like a 100-year-old tree. And if the tree is several hundreds years old, we would try to make it into a tree that looked like it has endured thousands of years in the wild. So it is creating an illusion of age, and that top would give that illusion. Although the tree is maybe in reality 10 years old, we want it to look like 100-year-old if it's possible. And also we want to make the tree more compact. So we can always make a gin if we don't like it later. It doesn't look like it fit into the design. We can always cut the whole gin off later. Okay, so looks like a small gin on the top right now. So the gin is a little bit more difficult to create because it has many knots on the top, many branches that grow out of the original trunk. So it took me some time to cut off the knots that exist originally. Okay. Basically, I just got rid of all the original top and bark of this original top of the tree. And if I were more skillful, I may even carve this top a little bit, but I just don't have the skill right now, so I'm not going to do too much to it. I'm just going to strip off the bark and all this done. Okay, It's a gin that can be further refined. And now I'm going to go around the tree and try to cut it into a shape. Try to cut it into a shape that's more commonly seen in bonsai, which would almost like a triangle shape, which doesn't have to be the case all the time, but it is an easy way to do this is to make the top smaller than the bottom of the tree. Okay. I'm trying to get to the eye level. Okay, so this is looking good. By reducing the top significantly, I'm going to allow a lot of light to penetrate inward, and which is going to help the lower branches to bud back. I can see a lot of debris, a lot of deciduous tree has shed their leaves on top of this conifer, so going to have a lot of reduction that is happening. So these branches, I would like to have them grow, so not going to touch the lower branches. This branch is still pretty strong, so I think I can cut a little bit more. Heavy foliage reduction at this season is going to reduce the winter hardiness of the tree. So if I were living in a place that can get really cold, I would need to put the tree in some form of protection after this, like a unheated greenhouse. But the place I live in happened to be very, very mild, so I suspect I don't even need to do so. What I'm currently doing is simply to reduce the length of the branches on top of the tree, and so that it form a rough triangular shape from the bottom, from the top to the bottom. So it's going to be smaller, larger, and shorter branch, longer branch in the middle, and the longest branch on the bottom of the tree. Not much more than that. And very long branches I'm just going to cut off. also I will need to be careful to leave a growing, as almost this apply to almost all conifer. If you cut a branch to where there is no green left, that branch will definitely die. But specifically for spruces, you want to cut it back to where there is a bud. I'm trying to see. Like this one, here is a bud here, growing tip. If there's no growing tip, the branch is likely to die too. So I need to be careful. So I'm just constantly, so this is the front. I decided in April when I repotted this tree. So I'm just constantly going back and looking at the front of the tree and try to find the shape that I'm thinking about for the tree. Okay, so the triangular shape is forming, going along the way, and I'm just trying to prune it all around so that this shape is going to form everywhere, on every angle. But first, I need to make it happen from the front. Okay, the front, so the right side of the tree, the front look somewhat triangular now. So what I need to do is to do the same on the right. Just cutting it back a little bit, and this will allow light to get into the branches. So I'm going to cut the top branch very short, leaving behind some growing tips. And the lower branches will be longer, but not much longer. And I'm trying to find when there is tip, I'm going to shorten it to these tips, growing tips. This branch is growing inward to the other trunk, so I don't need it really. Let's first do it from the front view. Okay, this branch obviously is too long, so I can cut it back. these lower branches are not just not receiving enough light, so they are dying naturally. But hopefully, after I cut the top of the tree, they are going to receive more light and hence going to grow better. Okay, let me take a look from the front and see if the triangular shape is forming. Okay, so I think from the front there is a relatively clear triangular shape, not exactly a triangle. You don't want to do it too forcefully, but a rough triangular shape from the front view. And now I'm just going to turn the tree around and do the same thing to every view, every angle of the tree. So I'm going to turn it to the side and do the same thing to the tree. Which I don't think will be too difficult. A lot of dying inner branches, but I think it's going to work. I believe the tree has enough strength. Now I'm turning to the back side of the tree and is trying to do the same thing. I find a third trunk on the back of the tree. I don't know if it's visible to the viewer, but there is a third trunk on the back of the tree. And a lot of people will just cut off the whole thing when they see something like that, because it's growing upward and it's growing very rigorously, and over time it will make that part of the tree thicken. But I think for now I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to cut the long shoots from the top and trying to form a nice triangular shape from every angle. Okay. So if that's the triangle, I would need to cut some of these branches. Let's just try it. Okay. Okay, not this one. This, I'm not going to cut off the whole of this third trunk on the back, but I'm going to cut off the tip of it, just to avoid making it too compact from the front. Okay, I'm turning to the right side of the tree, which is already a pretty nice triangular shape. Yeah, I think it's pretty nice already. So I don't need to do much more. Okay, that's the pruning part of this, and let's take a look. We may be good enough for right now. Oh, we are pretty good. We are pretty good. And I can see the top of the tree is still a little bit dense, especially on the left side. So I may do a little bit pruning on the left side to make it slightly more airy. Let's see. We are still a little bit dense from the top view. Let's see, what is crowding this? Is maybe just cut off this one. Maybe it would look more open. Let's see, even just one cut maybe may do the trick. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is the second major pruning of the tree, and I'm not going to wire it right now, but I can say this is already a real bonsai. So the main lesson I think I learned from doing this is to give the tree time and not try to do everything at once. So I'm not going to wire it. I can make the tree even better by wiring it, but the tree has already taken a lot of pruning, take a lot of damage from this pruning operation, and I don't want to do more pruning to it by wiring it right now. So I'm simply going to leave the tree like this, and which is already a bonsai. And I may strip off the wood on the gene a little bit more, but I can do it on my own. So hope this bring you some joy over this difficult time. And in this Christmas, if you got a living Christmas tree, you may try to do something like this, and maybe it's going to bring you some peace in the mind. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.